Hello! In this episode, I'm going to explain how to prepare and measure an object. The method GOM Correlate uses is called digital image correlation. Digital image correlation is an optical method to measure 2D or 3D coordinates for the evaluation of deformation such as displacements and strain. The whole principle is based on stochastic patterns which are applied on the measuring objects. The software can compute 2D or 3D coordinates on the pattern in each individual image. The deformed pattern represents the deformed object. In order to achieve a good contrast for the stochastic pattern, you often have to prime the specimen. Make sure the object is clean and free of grease or oil. Use white, dull paint spray. Spray an even, thin layer of paint on the object and prime all areas you want to measure. Let the paint dry afterwards. To measure small measuring objects, you need a fine stochastic pattern. You can check the quality of applied patterns in the software. At the end of the video, I will show you how to do it. Make sure the object is coated with white, dull color. Use black, dull paint spray to spray the pattern. To practice, spray the pattern on a paper. Press firmly on the spray cap. Drag the can fast over the object so that a fine pattern emerges. Now spray the pattern on the measuring object. At the beginning, point the spray can at a point next to the measuring object. As soon as you reach the desired spray intensity, spray on the measuring object. Spray the pattern on all areas you want to measure. Let the paint dry afterwards. To measure larger objects, you need a rough stochastic pattern. The procedure is very similar as you've seen before. Again, to practice, spray the pattern on a paper. Press only slightly on the spray head so that the can starts to spit. Drag the can slowly over the object so that a rough pattern emerges. Spray the pattern now on the measuring object. At the beginning, point the spray can at a point next to the measuring object. As soon as you reach the desired spray intensity, spray on the measuring object. Spray the pattern on all areas that you want to measure. To measure very large objects, you need a very rough stochastic pattern. You can apply the pattern with this kind of brush. First, it is often necessary to prime the object before you apply the pattern. Make sure the surface is free of oil or grease before priming. Now you can apply the pattern with a brush. Fill the paint into a container. Dip the brush in the paint. Tap the pattern brush so that only a thin film of paint remains on the bristles. Dab the paint with a pattern brush on the measuring object. Dab slightly overlapping. Continue until you have covered all areas you want to measure. Position the camera at a distance that allows you to cover the area of interest. Capture a test image to make sure you have covered the specimen. This is an example of a good coverage. The camera should be positioned perpendicular towards the object to avoid pseudo-strain due to the out-of-plane movement of the object. You can now focus the camera in order to get a sharp image. Make another test image to check whether the camera is focused. In order to be able to analyze displacements, the scaling of the image is necessary. You can bring a ruler into the image, which you can use later on to determine the scaling of the image. Or you can measure the width of the specimen to scale the images. You can now start the camera to record images and begin with the test. You can now import the images or video into GOM Correlate. The software, for example, supports image formats like JPEG, PNG or TIFF, and video formats like MP4 or AVI. As mentioned before, you have to have a project in order to work with GOM Correlate. Therefore, create a new project. To import the data, go to File, Import File, and select the images you want to import. Alternatively, you could use the Windows Explorer to drag and drop the images or video into the software. You can also drag and drop entire folders into the software. Click now on the Import option, Deformation Image. The software creates automatically a measurement series that contains all images you have imported or all the frames of a video. You can navigate through your test via the timeline. As mentioned at the beginning of this video, you can check the quality of your applied pattern with the software. In order to do this, you have to define a surface component. During the creation of the surface component, the software finds squared facets in the acquired images. The software identifies the facets by the stochastic pattern structure. Select now Pattern Quality. The pattern quality is good in green areas. The pattern quality is worse in yellow areas. You can possibly increase the pattern quality by adjusting the facet size. Red areas are too bad to compute facets. You may increase the facet size again if you're still able to compute reasonable results, or you might have to spray the object again. As mentioned before, you have to scale the images to be able to compute displacements. Click with the right mouse button on the measurement series and choose Edit Creation Parameters. Click now on Edit Calibration and choose Define Scale. You can now click 2 points with the left mouse button and enter the distance you have measured. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to evaluate this tensile test.